Unbelievable. All right, I want to welcome back our powerhouse panel on this Tuesday morning. We start with Project 21 member Marie Fischer. Marie, nice to have you on. Commentary editor for the Washington Times, Kelly Sadler, is back with us. Former Marine Corps Captain Matt Tito is here, and former Trump campaign aide Rick Gates is here. Kelly, good morning. I would like to start with you and just talk about an article that you just put out with the Washington Times. I think this goes perfectly with what we saw on 60 Minutes from Ron DeSantis last night. The title of your article, Dishonest CBS Attempts to Smear DeSantis Vaccination Rollout. Tell us about the article and what this CBS report is basically, and the Democrats, I should say, the very partisan Democrats are trying to do here to maybe the one governor who's handled the coronavirus well for the last 13 months.
You know, one of the things I believe that CBS is going to have to retract this story. The Palm Beach mayor came out yesterday, and this was after I published the article, and he's a Democrat, and he said this is entirely untrue. It's factually false. The governor came down to my city. We negotiated Publix was the best option. Publix is the #1 grocery chain in the state of Florida. The fact of the matter is they've donated to a lot of people. Right. They've donated to Democrats as well, and it's only $100,000 that they donated to DeSantis' PAC. But you see a concerted effort by the mainstream media to take down Ron DeSantis because he's viewed as the up-and-coming threat.
Wait, Kelly, hold on one sec. I just want you to repeat that in case viewers at home missed that. They donated only $100,000 to his campaign. That's correct, right?
That is absolutely
correct. Which for
correct.
Publix is nothing.
For Publix is absolutely nothing.
Right.
They donate millions of dollars. They donated millions of dollars to Georgia and to the Urban League to reform the voting rights. I mean, if you look at Gavin Newsom in California, he's received millions of dollars from Blue Cross, which he gave exclusive vaccination rights too. So if CBS wanted to expand the scope, they could look at governors across the board and who they've taken donations from and who they've given exclusive vaccination rights to. That's Newsom. DeSantis has given it to Walgreens, to CVS. He started out with those pharmacies to focus exclusively on the elderly population, on the senior citizens, which are the most vulnerable. I think
Kelly, let me bring in. I want to bring in Matt Tito. He's down there. He ran for office in St. Petersburg. He's been in Florida for a long time. Matt, there are at least 2 Publix in every county in Florida. Doesn't it just make perfect sense to start with Publix in Florida as a vaccination site for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've been to Florida, you know that there's a Publix on every corner. In fact, there's 830 Publix throughout the entire state. And going back to the donations, they do also give the Democrats, to include Publix gave to Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden large sums of cash for their political campaigns. The director of emergency services, also a Democrat for the state of Florida, came out in defense of Ron DeSantis, a Republican governor. Tell me the last time a Democrat came out in defense of any Republican. This is uncharted territory in terms of having Democrats stick up for a Republican governor. Now, remember, Ron DeSantis is the up-and-coming big name to run for president.
He's already arrived, Matt. He's already here.
Yeah, absolutely. If Donald Trump doesn't run, he is the #1 choice for many in the Republican Party. But don't forget, he still has to win his re-election for governor in 2022.
Yep.
So the Democrats' approach now and their strategy is if we can take him out in that 2022 governor's race, well, then we'll put him away forever. And so that's what they're trying to do.
All right, Marie, Project 21 member, I want to ask you about that. So Matt thinks it's about 2022. I think it's really about 2024. They want to discredit Ron DeSantis because I think DeSantis is as close to a lock as you can be in Florida in 2022. But in 2024, they want to make sure that his name is not at the top of the ticket.
Well, I think it's a combination of both, because if they can get him out in 22, they're going to look at the 24 and say, well, look, he ran for governor again. He lost. So they're going to see fault with the fact that he didn't have, the support of his own state. So how in the world can he have the support of the nation? But it's also 24, because you already hear people talking, even Democrats who live in Florida, they're very happy with what's going on in Florida. They're happy he took a stand. They're happy that he basically didn't lock down the state, as not as much as many other states. And all I hear from, friends and people I know in Florida is that they're enjoying it. They like it. Life is normal.
Yeah. All right. We have a lot more to talk about this morning. Dr. Fauci, who I'm going to be talking about quite a bit this morning. I've got Colby Hall from Mediaite coming on to talk about what's been going on with a whole bunch of topics to talk about. But Dr. Fauci says that these vaccination passports are not going to be something that the federal government requires. Take a listen.
I do believe that there will be individual entities that will do that. There may be theaters that say you don't get in unless you have proof of vaccination. There may be colleges or other educational institutions that do that. I'm not saying they should or that they would, but I'm saying you could foresee how an independent entity might say, well, we can't be dealing with you unless we know you're vaccinated, but it's not going to be mandated from the federal government.
So, Rick, you notice he leaves the door open there. Is he doing that? Do you think that Fauci and the medical community, because Rochelle Walensky has not been in lockstep with what Dr. Fauci has been saying recently, do you think that he's leaving the door open just in case they do decide to implement these vaccine passports? Or do you think he's finally starting to cave to some of the pushback that he's been getting from the American people?
Well, clearly, Fauci's smart. He's played this smartly all along. So I think he's being very careful and very cautious about what he's doing in this situation. I think the idea of vaccine passports is ridiculous, as do most Americans. So I think that feedback has gotten, to the White House and others. And so they're very careful about how they're going to, tread along this way. But again, it amazes me that Fauci is out there front and center talking about this. I didn't know he was the primary decision maker in all this. And he seems to be putting himself and injecting himself in a lot of these decisions where you don't see a lot coming directly from the president on these key decisions. So he's being very cautious in this situation. I think he's going to continue to be, unlike the border where he hasn't been very cautious.
Yeah, and Kelly, I find that there's just so much information with the coronavirus. So get this, Alaska hasn't had a COVID death in 10 days, all right? But Michigan had 11,000 in a day the other day, 11,000 cases, not 11,000 deaths. That's the all-time high for the state of Michigan. The CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, says that now we can stop disinfecting. Look, I have a friend, by the way, Matt Tito, in Florida, who still disinfects her groceries. But the CDC says we can stop doing that. This is an airborne virus.
Listen, I think it's time that if you can get vaccinated, take off your mask and enjoy life. We're getting to that point now where schools need to be reopened fully. The science supports that here in Virginia. We still have, partial virtual school, and we're not back in the classroom 5 days a week. It's time we start taking some personal responsibility and live our lives responsibly. And, and just ignore what the CDC has. We've got the vaccinations. We have the science. It's time to go out and enjoy life. Yeah,
and Norwegian Cruise Lines wants to set sail again on the 4th of July. Going to be interesting. Hey, they got to leave port at some point, right? Why not now? Get vaccinated, go on a cruise. Leave that one wide open for you guys. Panel, we'll pick this stuff right up after the break.